Hello, all you hardcore boxing fans out there. How you doing? It's Big Porky here. You know, don't you? You know. That's why you've tuned in. We've got a new camera. Today I'm joined by my good friend Kent from Belfast in Northern Ireland, and he's had a lot of comments on comment section, all positive. Not one bad word said about him. He is now known as a superhuman hardcore. How are you doing, Kent? You all right, mate?
I dead on, Russell. How
What
about you?
I'm all right, mate. What have you been up to?
Just enjoying the sun in Belfast, uh, doing a bit of training, walking my dog, just getting on with it. The lockdown seems to be easing, so
Yeah.
trying to get back to normal again.
Uh, let's cover last night's show and we'll cover the Andy Ruiz fight if that's okay, yeah?
Yeah.
Do you want to cover the Ruiz fight first and then we can talk about the pay per view show on Sky, yeah?
Yep.
What did you think to Andy Ruiz, Kent?
I thought it was a very tough fight. Very, very tough. I think a lot of credit has to go to Chris Ariola. He was brought in as cannon fodder. He was brought in to get smashed to pieces to make Andy Ruiz look like, yeah, I'm back.
Yeah.
Back in the title hunt. And I thought he fought very, very valiantly. He knocked down Ruiz in the first round, which was it was a massive shock. I think that Ruiz showed great fitness, great endurance. He looks like his body looks a lot better. He's 20 pounds, over 20 pounds lighter. So yeah, maybe before he maybe wouldn't have had that conditioning to get up with such an early shock.
Yeah.
But it's going to be. You look at the heavyweight dynamic now. You've got Fury, you've got Joshua, you've got Wilder coming back. Where does he fit in that mix? You know, they're talking about a rematch with Chris Ariola. So really, is that another fight you want to see again? It was a good fight. It was an excellent fight, but I wouldn't want to see that again. I would like to see maybe Andy in with someone like Deontay Wilder, but I don't really know if Wilder would want to take a risk and fight somebody as good as Andy Ruiz.
Well,
But it was a good fight. It was a good fight.
Ariola to me is fat as a pig Michelin man. And plus, I didn't like his outburst to end as well, did you?
No, no, he always seems to have something to say. You know, I remember when he fought Vitali, he had something to say at the end. You know, that's boxing. You either win or you lose, and you have to go in that ring ready to accept the fact that you're either going to win or you're either going to lose. But it doesn't stand great for the likes of Andy Ruiz when he's getting dropped by someone who, you know, is in the twilight of his career,
Yeah.
so to speak. And Chris Ariola. Chris Ariola's been beat every time he stepped up. Where does he go from here? I think it's just a matter of playing that waiting game and seeing where this Joshua and Fury fights, because really that fight is holding up the whole division. It was for one of those WBA trinkets, so it looks like they're trying to get him in that WBA route, but you know WBA, have sanctioned, you know, Dewa for an interim belt. How does that happen? You know, Brian Jennings pulled out a WBA belt from nowhere, and Manuel Char had a WBA belt. So really, what route are they going to take there? I think the whole division is in chaos, to be honest.
Yeah, the old division seems to be on hold, doesn't it, at the moment? Do you think, Ken?
It's at an absolute standstill. You know, the WBO belt should be vacant. You know, Joe Joyce and Alexander Usyk should be fighting for that. Nobody in Joyce's camp are screaming for that. You know, if it was a Frank Warren fighter, it would they would be going to court and there would be all sorts of letters going in. Now they're talking about an interim belt, which I don't want to see any interim fights. If it's an interim belt, it means it's not a title fight.
Yeah.
The whole thing with Joshua and Fury is just a shambles. One person saying it's done. Bob Arms turned around saying it's dead in the water. The whole division's just, name-wise, it's got good fighters that are entertaining, but on the business side of it, it's just an absolute shambles.
Well, I've got you on, Ken. What do you think about the situation with Sam Jones, Joe Joyce, Usyk, and Eddie Hearn? What do you think about that little quartet there? Do you feel that nobody's going into bat for Joe Joyce on this Usyk fight because the WBO belt, they've gone over their time limit now, haven't they, for the mandatory? And what do you think?
It's come back to this thing that we have spoke about, Russell. It's come back to that time where managers used to be managers. Managers weren't, a manager can't be pally with promoters. That's not their job. Their job is to squeeze every penny out of the promoter and be a nightmare. Like Joe Gallagher. Joe Gallagher, for me, is a proper manager. He doesn't care whose toes he steps on. He will do everything for his fighter. Sam Jones wants to be in the limelight all the time. He wants to be on all the platforms. He wants to be everybody. He wants to be Eddie's mate. Yeah. And I find that's a conflict of interest for Joe Joyce. And it's affecting his career massively. He should be fighting now. He should have been fighting last night on that card against Usyk for the WBO heavyweight title, and he's not. It's inside trading.
Yeah. Basically, isn't it really? Because Joe Joyce is getting Daniel Dubois were injured in the Joyce fight, which obviously he lost in. He's going to be out before Joyce. How crazy is that?
Yeah, and he's going to get a ranking in this fight. It's a WBA interim title fight. So regardless of what credibility that belt has, he's still going to get a ranking after this fight. So boxing doesn't surprise me anymore the way things work. Before you would have seen things announced and you would have been surprised. Now, I'm not surprised. Dubois lost a European title fight, and now he's going into an interim world title fight. How can that be sanctioned off a sanctioning body? It is absolutely ridiculous. And you've got Joyce there, who won that fight and is sitting parked up. Terrible.
Yeah, it's not good, is it? It's not good. So we spoke about Andy Ruiz, Chris Arreola. Chris Arreola really needs to pack it in, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's getting to that stage now where a heavyweight, they're sparring lots over their career. They're in the ring, fighting against hard opposition, taking a lot of punishment. He's crying for a rematch, which I don't really want to see that fight again. It was an exciting fight, but I don't really want to see that happen again. I just want to see Ruiz move on with his career. I think Arreola's just going to maybe go around that PBC circuit and fight in-house. But as a spectacle, I don't want to see that fight again. No, I don't.
What next for Andy Ruiz?
It's really about now. For him, it's very important now because he's got a WBA ranking. He has got a win. It's about now for him not being beaten, looking good, and trying to get himself in that title picture. PBC have some good heavyweights. They've got Afia Agjagba, the Nigerian puncher. He had a great win last time out. He hasn't looked great over the last couple of years. I don't think particularly they'll want to pair them together. I think possibly a fight against the Polish guy, Kalinalaki. Yeah. I think that could be a fight there. He sells a lot of tickets. back where he's from in Chicago, New York, around that area. So I think that would be a good fight for him. It's just about looking exciting and trying not to get beat, because really this heavyweight scene at the minute, Fury and Joshua have just parked everybody up, and they can't really take too dangerous of fights, but they can't be parked up either.
Okay then, I'm going to throw a curveball at you here. Andy Ruiz is obviously trained by Eddie Reynoso now, isn't he?
Yep.
Right, and Eddie Reynoso at the moment in bed with Eddie Hearn, isn't he? We both agree on that, don't we?
Absolutely.
Can you see Chisora or Parker fighting Andy Ruiz, yes or no? Because Parker's fought him once. You think Eddie might want to go for a rematch against Ruiz?
It all depends with the platform. It's the PBC platform. Al Heyman, I don't think at the minute Al Heyman will play ball with anyone because of the whole situation with Deontay Wilder. Yeah. Do I think Andy Ruiz beats Joseph Parker or Del Boy? Yeah, he'll smash either of them to pieces, to be honest, after that fight last night. But we'll touch on that.
Okay. Let's start from the bottom on the Sky pay-per-view show. But let's start with the punditry first before we go into the fights. Now, Bean wasn't working. Am I correct?
Yep.
Yeah. Bellew wasn't working for Sky. Am I correct? Yeah.
Yep.
Bean was sat at home, wasn't he? Beanie? He wasn't working for Matchroom, were
he? Adam Smith done the last two fights. He done the Parker fight against Del Boy, and he covered the Taylor Jonas fight.
Parker against Del Boy? You mean Usyk against Del Boy? Oh, you mean last night? Sorry.
Last night, yes.
Yeah.
Last night.
Right, yeah.
He done those last two fights.
Is Bean going to be working for Sky moving forward, and Bellew, do you think? Yes or no? That's what question I meant. Sorry, go
on. In a different capacity, I think Bean Adam Smith will be working, doing things, other sports. He will be doing darts because he's been filtered in and out of the darts for the last year.
Netball.
Probably a bit of the snooker that the Sky show as well. Probably Sky fishing as well. But as far as Tony Bellew's concerned, I think we spoke about this on a previous video. I think Tony Bellew has been sent to Coventry by Sky. Yeah. He's been on that platform less than 2 years. He made himself look really, really bad on the Del Boy Usyk fight.
Yeah.
Terrible. All I heard was whinging, was screaming, was cheerleading, and it ruined my experience that I paid for. Because I want to hear clear punditry. I don't want to hear that shouting in the background. So they've said, if you can't be impartial, boxing, we all know the boxing scene's pretty close knit. Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
But you can't be, shouting and screaming and getting on like that on a live pay-per-view platform that you're meant to be impartial. He said on another outlet this week, I will say what the F I want.
Yeah.
Sorry, but you can't say, not to the point where it's going to affect your punditry career. So yeah, you can say that, but not really, because you're not going to get the work. You're not going to get that pay-per-view work. And last night he wasn't there working for Sky Boxing. He was there working with Darren Barker on the YouTube channel.
The Riminators.
So they know now that they can't trust him. They can't use him.
They're Eddie men though, aren't they? Bellew and Barker, Eddie men.
Yeah, they're company men through and through.
Yeah. What about Johnny Nelson?
This is all up in the air, Russell, because we don't know what Sky are going to do. We don't know if Sky have got a trump card up their sleeve with Wasserman and Sarland, so we don't know what the future is. We don't know what is going forward. I think Sky know now that they have created a monster with Eddie and Matchroom, and they have given him that platform to be what they are now. So I think they're trying to. I think going forward, they need to give dates. They need to give dates to MTK.
Yeah.
They need to give dates to Wasserman and other promoters to help build British boxing up without Eddie. Eddie's too dominant in the UK market at the minute, and the British boxing market needs more independence, and that is with the other promoters. So I think if they give other promoters dates, they will probably keep what they have, but the DAZN model will be totally different.
Yeah, but listen, what I want to know about is this: when's Johnny Nelson going to be going to food banks? That's what I want to know. When's he out? When's he out on his ear?
I noticed last night all the punditry, all the commentary was totally different. Now, I don't mean totally different. It sounded last night that they were trying to be more professional. They were trying to be more safe on what they were saying. And I think the pressure is on all elements. I noticed all of them.
They're playing it safe, aren't they? Because they've been taking liberties that long. Coming out with the old, I can see it 115, 113, 113, 115. Could have gone either way. I can see that, but I can't see this. And styles make fights and all these cliches. Well, there were none of that last night, were there? It was just major rimming and everybody was treading on eggshells and they're all scrambling for cover, aren't they? That's how I looked at it anyway.
That's what it seemed last night. It seemed like they were all trying to commentate, but not make themselves look as stupid as they have been for the last 2 years.
Yeah. Okay, then let's move on to the actual fights. You know, the first ones that came out. I know. Well, we're not going to start with Campbell Hatton because he didn't fight at the beginning at night, did he?
For me, like that just shows you what hype machine that they're trying to build. You know, Campbell Hatton should have been on first. He should have been opening the show. He was basically chief support to the chief support, where that would have been the time where the viewing audience would have been tuning in to watch, you know, what would have been at its highest. And I think that was a wee bit disrespectful to, you know, he actually was on before 2 world title fights. You know, 2 world title fights. You know, he was on before Bivol and Richards, and he was on before Tennyson and Saffron in their rights. I can't see how that is warranted. It was an opening card fight.
2 seconds. Cam, I'm just filming. Let me call you back, mate. Yeah. Go on, Ken. All right, let's turn that off.
That just shows the hype machine that they're trying to build with Campbell Hatton.
Yeah. Campbell Hatton's opponent, what do you think to him?
The lad tried his best, and he was 0-4-0, and he landed a lot of. He caught Campbell Hatton a lot of times. He made it a hard night's work for Campbell Hatton. You know, you couldn't really split them, really. And that's a lad who is 0-4-0. You know, if that's the level that they think Campbell Hatton is at this stage of his career, like I know all fighters have to go up through journeyman level, but if that's the level that he is at record wise, why is he on a pay-per-view platform?
Exactly. This is the problem that I've got, and that everybody who pulls me in the street or friends and family who speak to me. Campbell Hatton's had two fights. These two fighters are 0 and 10 and 0 and 4. So these guys have not had a win. They don't know how to win. And Campbell Hatton can't get him out of there. Can't stop him because he can't punch hard. He's not a puncher. If you're not stopping these guys, well, what's going on? Is this just a gimmick? Is he a YouTube fighter because his dad was a fighter? Is this a gimmick? Is it another Jake Paul YouTube carry on or whatever? Is it a gimmick, this? What is this?
It's what they're doing is, Russell, is the promoters are cashing in on the name. They're cashing in the name. They're cashing in, on the story of his dad, which his dad was a good fighter. But really, I want to see the fighter for being the fighter. I don't care who the dad is. If he's a good fighter and he deserves to be there, he's had a good amateur career, is exciting, I'll watch him.
Yeah.
But I just don't want to watch somebody on pay-per-view just because their dad was a famous fighter.
Yeah. I agree with you, and I think it's the Conor Benn syndrome again all over again, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the boxing now is, we know this, it's that name brand recognition. So they're basically cashing in on the names of their dads. Eubank Jr., okay, was on the card last night. He's kind of the same, but he's kind of created his own path. He's been in exciting fights. He entertains. So yeah, is he a pay-per-view fighter? He's exciting.
Who's his best win?
His best win, I would say, Chudnoff.
Second best win.
Second best win, my word.
Arthur
Abraham.
Shots a bit.
Third best win, I liked the Yildirim because he just smashed him to pieces.
All right then. What do you think to Chris Eubank Jr.'s performance last night, Ken?
Russell, it was very strange. I thought it was a strange performance. He looked a bit more measured. He looked a bit calmer. You could see that he was working on things with, it was kind of like that pawing Roy Jones backhand. He was pawing that around. I thought he looked a bit more composed last night. You could see that he's been listening more. I thought Marcus Morrison started really, really well. He caught him a square job in the first round. It was I enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed it as a fight. I think he was looking to get rounds. He was looking to get rounds last night because really he's had one round in just under 2 years. He looked exciting in flurries. He just didn't seem to want to get as involved as he would have. I just thought he was a wee bit more measured last night and a wee bit more mature in his performance.
Do you feel though that when they don't get the stoppage, they start coming out with all that, well, I need it rounds?
It was strange because there was times that he looked like he wanted to get involved with Marcus, and in that third round, he seemed to hurt Marcus on the ropes. Then he just stepped off. 2 meters, stepped off. It was strange, I think Marcus Morrison is a really big at that weight. He looked massive. He was very strong. He had his moments on the fight. I think if he had forced it a wee bit more, he would have had a lot more success in the fight. But it was a more measured performance from Eubank. He wasn't as exciting as he normally would have because he obviously he's working with Roy Jones and he's listening that wee bit more. I thought it was a decent fight. Do I think he beats Golovkin off that performance? Absolutely not. No, not even close.
What about what's next for Marcus Morrison though? Is he British level now, would you say?
Marcus Morrison, yeah, the guy's done well. He's been he's had one of those patchy careers where he's lacked consistency with wins. You know, big fights. You know, he had that big win in Italy the last time.
Yeah.
I would like to see Marcus. I thought Marcus looked a bit tight at the weight. I would like him to move up, and I think there'll be other opportunities. You know, he didn't disgrace himself. He went in, he fought really well.
Yeah.
He's been into the ring a while, a while. He will get other opportunities. He's a good fighter.
Yeah. Moving on then from the adventures of Tintin. What about James Tennyson? What do you think to that? After all the hype from Johnny Company Man Nelson.
That was a massive shocker. So it was, you know, James is from Belfast. I'm from Belfast. So I've been following his career right from the start on the small hall scene, way back from Tony Dunlop shows. It is a massive shock. You know, the last fight there, you know, Eddie Hearn was talking about bringing Linares over to Belfast and filling out the Odyssey Arena for him. Then all of a sudden, that talk disappeared, and Linares is now fighting Davin Haney. So it's a really disappointing fight for his career. He fought Staffron last night for an IBO title, a southpaw from Mexico that obviously could punch, and it was just like, I think James has got that, you know, part of his career now where he's been walking through everyone and stopping them, and as soon as anyone's felt that power, that they've been in utter shock, and he's been stopping them and knocking them out. And he just went from this last fight, it looked like he continued from the last round of his last fight into that round.
Think he got caught cold?
Caught right away.
Cool.
I think the problem is, Russell, that it was unfair for that fight to be on so early in the card. And I think, you know, I'm not making excuses. You know, no fighter should be caught cold. You know, you should be doing your warm-up. You should be activated. You should be sharp on pads before it. I think he just run into Saffron and got caught early. And that was it. Game over.
Yeah.
Game over.
Okay. Well, you know that kid who beat him, is he one of Eddie Reynoso's?
Saffron? I don't think so. I didn't hear them talking last night about that link. But it just shows you, you know, again, you know, they brought over another Mexican who beat another British/Irish fighter. You know, it's no mistake. You know, Saffron's won a title. You've got Lara who come over and stopped Josh Warrington. You know, that there's these Mexican fighters are coming over now, and you know they're coming over and beating the UK based fighters. Is that a coincidence? No, because it's something that we've spoke about. Eddie now is looking to build Mexico on a, you know, building these territories globally. So yeah, they know about these fighters. Would I like to see a rematch? You know, it was one round. You know, where does James Tennyson go from this now?
Food banks. That's where he's going to be going, mate. Skid Row after a performance like that.
You know, it's 1 minute they were talking about possibly a Haney fight, Linares fight a lot.
Gervonta Davis, Johnny Nelson we're talking about.
Gervonta Davis, it's very disappointing. It's disappointing for him because he's done a lot of it on the road, and it's a massive step back for him.
Yeah. Well, that's it's tough at the top, isn't it? When you're fighting, I mean, who's Tennyson's best win anyway?
Tennyson's best win would have been European title fight, down a weight. Was Martin J. Ward. I would class that as his best win.
That's a good solid win.
And he was down in that fight twice to come back and win by stoppage. So that was a good win. He's been on the road doing it. You know, from talking about fighting one of those guys like Haney, Davis, even Linares are big money fights, to losing last night like that, I'm sure he's absolutely got it.
Yeah.
But that's boxing. That's
yeah.
boxing.
All right then. What next to the Katie Taylor Natasha Jonas fight? What did you make of that, Kent?
I thought it's really, really hard, Russell, in female boxing when you're the aggressor and you've only 2 minutes. You've only 2 minutes around to stamp authority, especially if you're a contender. You know, Taylor's style is that flicking in and out of range, and then she holds quite a lot. It's hard for someone like Natasha, who's that really heavy-handed counterpuncher, to 2 minutes, 2 minute rounds suits Taylor because it's in and out, in and out, in and out hold.
Yeah.
I thought round 9 was a massive round in the fight. That's the fight. That's the round that cost Jonas either a win or a draw because she took the round off. I thought it was an absolutely brilliant fight. I thought all the heavy punches were coming from Natasha that weren't mentioned. You know, they weren't mentioned.
Yeah, they never mentioned them at all, mate. They never mentioned them at all. They mentioned every time Katie Taylor threw some, oh, they were going wild, weren't they, pundits? But it's not fair, you know that.
I noticed about 3 or 4 times that Natasha had her stung and hurt, and it wasn't even mentioned. It wasn't all they were talking about was Katie Taylor's backhand to the body and head. And I found a lot of times that Natasha was getting a bit of a rough ride from the referee.
Yeah, I did, mate. No, I did.
I thought that Taylor was using her head so much. You looked after the fight, both their heads. There was hematomas on both heads, you know, from the head clashes. I wanted Natasha to win the fight. You know, I've made it no secret on social media that I got a bit of stick about it because I was backing against an Irish fighter. You know, if I like someone, I will support whoever I want. To be quite honest, I wanted Natasha to win. She proved herself again. You know, she proved herself again that she belonged at that elite world level. Mm-hmm. I would like her to get another chance somewhere down the line, but it's just that style of Taylor's hard to beat over 2 minute rounds.
Yeah. All right then. Have we missed any out on that show? Without the main event, is that about it?
We have missed out Bivol and
Spider
Richards.
Spider Richards. What do you think to that fight then, Ken?
I tell you what, Russell, you know, there's been a lot of hype over the last couple of years in that division, especially in Britain. We have the hype behind Anthony Yard. We have Lyndon Arthur coming through, who's a good Manchester fighter, Pat Barrett.
Yeah.
We have got Callum Johnson, who's a brilliant fighter and himself. And we have got someone like Joshua Buatsi, who gets documentaries, gets all this media hype. And to be quite honest, why did he not fight Bivol last night? When we have someone like Spider Richards comes in, and I tell you what, he didn't look out of place last night. He fought so well. I thought he lost the fight. I don't know what referee Steve Gray was watching last night because he had it 115, 114. But Craig Richards for me is as good as any of them fighters.
Yeah, Craig Richards could be the best of the lot, except Callum Johnson, you know, from the UK.
Yeah.
He's the number 2 guy now in the UK, in my opinion.
I totally agree with you. I have Callum Johnson at number 1, and I have Craig Richards at number 2. I thought he just boxed last night fearlessly. He just went in there.
Oh, you got number 3. Oh, you got number 3.
Number 3, I would go Lyndon Arthur.
And then Boatsi number 4, then Yard.
No, I would have Yard at number 4, and Boatsy at number 5.
What about Jose Burton?
Jose Burton, I would have him at number 6.
You could have a Super 6 there with them boys, couldn't you, really, a tournament?
It would be absolutely brilliant. It would be good viewing. It would be brilliant for their own development, because they're fighting now domestically. The domestic light heavyweight scene is as good as any division in world boxing. It's got a lot of real good fighters there that would, you put any of them fighters together, there would be really good entertaining fights. But we all know that likes of Joshua Buatsi is never going to fight at that domestic level because it's too hard. They're going to put him in an eliminator or an interim fight next and try and force him in the back door. He's meant to be this super boxer. He's got this, media hype. Why did he not take the fight last night against Bivol?
I'll tell you why he didn't take that fight against Bivol. Because he's got the heart of a breadcrumb. That's why.
I don't rate him.
I don't like him.
He's went over to Mar. He doesn't have an exciting style as it is, and he's went across the world to train with Hunter. Hunter's style of boxing isn't particularly exciting as it is. So I don't think style-wise he's going to be probably even more defensive with working with Hunter. But I don't think Boatsy beats Richards. I don't think he beats Arthur, and he definitely doesn't beat Calm Johnson. But Spider Richards' performance last night, he stung Bivol in round 3, and he stung him again in round 8 and 10. I haven't seen anybody, especially coming up through domestic level, given Bivol that much problems last night. I think he deserves a lot of credit for even taking the fight.
Okie dokie. Joe, what are we on to next?
Dale Boy Parker.
The main event. Derek Chisholm, 11 losses, and Parker, the Stinkinator. Wherever he goes, he just has a turnout. Wherever fight he's in, he just stinks it up. What did you think to it?
Can I ask you a question, Russell?
Yeah.
So, all week on social media platforms, I have been seeing the biggest nonsense I have ever seen in a long time. We've got all these media outlets who haven't come up watching boxing, they don't know the history of boxing.
No.
And I'm seeing, I seen one pad session with Andy Lee and Joseph Parker, and most of it they were grappling, and I seen Joseph Parker Kronk style. What nonsense are they talking?
That wasn't Kronk style last night, was it?
The Kronk gym is where fighters like McCollum, we had Jared McLennan, Mark Breland, Tommy the Hitman Hearns. These were, even the likes of James Toney come up in the Kronk as well. Yeah. World-class, elite fighters.
Jared McClellan.
The G-Man, as I said there, these guys were ultra aggressive. The Kronk style actually technically means throw solid right hands and stop your opponents. That's what it actually means.
Yeah.
I've never seen a Kronk fighter flicking shots and stepping back all night. So before we talk about that, I just think that is absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. So that style, for anybody who's watching this video, go and Google the Kronk fighters that we mentioned there and see if that's Kronk style. Last night's fight, Del Boy started well. He dropped him in the first round. He won 4 rounds. Then do you know what, Russell? I was actually bored watching that fight last night.
Yeah. Where do you see this scenario happening here. We've got Parker, we've got Chisora, we've got Dylan White, we've got Pulev. And there's a bit. I've seen a bit of talk this morning. And that. Where do you see Dylan White in all this, and Parker and Chisora?
Dylan White came out this morning and said that Del Boy was robbed. So he did.
Yeah.
He said that Del Boy was robbed. Dillian White is not going to fight Deontay Wilder anytime soon. Let's be honest.
No, he'll get lit up.
He's not going to fight anybody that is going to beat him or who can punch. Joseph Parker last night looked terrible. He was flicking shots. Del Boy, I thought Del Boy actually boxed better when he was with Don Charles.
I did.
He brought Buddy McGirt in for 2 weeks. All he was doing last night was lunging into the body. And every time he was lunging into the body, Parker was just countering him with hooks and jabs. I thought when he threw his jabs, his straight shots, he was landing. But he was just falling forward, throwing hooks. What I see there now with Demons is that we know the heavyweight division is totally parked up at the minute. So guys who are in that pay-per-view platform and at that stage of their career, what they want is to stay pay-per-view as long as they can. That's their bread and butter. I could actually probably see next Parker versus Dillian White, and I could see Del Boy versus Pulev again on probably another pay-per-view platform.
Jesus Christ. Is this where we're at? Is this where we're at now?
That's what I see, Russell. That's what's going to happen, because you look at all them guys. Dillian White is not going to want to risk his pay-per-view status. There's no chance that's going to happen. And he will pick and choose. So it's going to be like a round robin between White, Parker.
We've seen all that, though, haven't we?
We've
seen it. We've seen all this. And they were talking about Chisora Parker rematch as well. We've seen all this. It's recycled garbage. I mean, we can't put up with this anymore, man. It's shocking, mate.
We had the whole nonsense with the coin toss this week.
Oh,
we had all that.
Right. He does it every pay-per-view, Chisora. It's just hype, mate. Hype.
I had people contacting me saying the fight's going to be off, and I'm saying, if Derek Chisora walked out of that bubble last night, he would have been sued for multi-million pounds breach of contract.
Listen, they're just chatting because they've got no to chat about. They're trying to sell it to get people talking about it. Oh, well, Derek Chisora's a shot fighter, isn't he? Let's have it right. He's a shot fighter. I
don't want to see I'm a Chisora fan. Some of the people on the channel are asking me if I'm a Chisora fan. Yes, I am, and I don't want to see Derek Chisora fighting anymore. I don't want to see it. I think David Hay is there. He's
David Hay.
He's getting a percentage that is a pay-per-view percentage. So he's going to try and wheel them out every time, spin a different narrative. The narrative last night was, Eddie Hearn came out last night and said he thought Del Boy was robbed. So I think
let's play it again, Sam.
That's what they're going to do. I could see it next. I can see Dillian White versus Pulev, and I can see a Parker rematch, or vice versa. That will be the next pay-per-view. So well, it's just there. It's all about recycling it for the casuals, because they don't have a clue what they're saying. They don't have a clue. Nobody mentioned last night. Once did nobody mention Hughie Fury last night in that commentary?
He's got a style to ruin all of them, and he's only 26.
Technically, I would like to see Hughie Fury next in with Pulev, or even
Parker.
Joseph Parker rematch.
Parker, Chisora, Pulev.
They didn't mention it at all last night, so it's just recycled. It's just recycle, pay-per-view. That's all they're doing with that platform. It's not about the fans; it's about the money.
Ken, do you feel that Hughie Fury don't get the breaks with Sky and Matchroom because his dad Peter's not willing to kiss ass like all them other lot?
it's they have got Dillian White selling X amount of pay-per-views.
6 is that?
6. They have got Joseph Parker, and what was that? His third or fourth pay-per-view last night.
I think it's 3rd on Sky.
They've got Del Boy selling many pay-per-views as Del Boy had.
3.
3. Plus he had that big fight with David Hay on a different platform.
Yeah.
So they're all very commercial boxers. They're commercial brand fighters, with maybe the exception of Parker. He's more over Australia and Asia, but UK ways it's White and Del Boy. So if you brought somebody in like Hughie Fury, he would box ahead of the two of them, and that would be the end of their pay-per-view reigns, and that would be a disaster for Sky Matchroom. So I think really my opinion on it is I think they're trying to keep Hughie parked up because he's way too dangerous for any of them guys. Way too dangerous.
Hughie's a roadman killer.
I could see he's matured a lot. He's getting stronger. He's getting more confident.
He's faster. He's faster.
He's a quiet guy.
He's stronger. He's quicker.
He doesn't come across as commercial as the other guys.
He's eating kangaroo meat.
So they're kind of keeping him away with those type of fights. But I think Hughie beats any of them guys.
Yeah. Okie dokie then. Well, we've had an hour. Anything you'd like to touch on, Kent?
Okay, so what did you think about the refereeing and the judging last night? Was it any better or was it any worse?
Worse. They're giving all the close round to own fighters, aren't they? Or Eddie's favourites.
What did you think? Sorry, of Steve Gray's 115, 114?
Steve Gray needs to go to Specsavers. He's been a company man for whoever's promoting the show. He's the home fighters ref judge. That's what he is. He's a company man. If he's on an NXT show, he'll pick an NXT fighter. If he's on Eddie's or Frank's, he'll do the same thing. He robbed Sam Sheedy, when Sheedy fought Langford. Robbed him royally. Dennis flew to him after fight. He says, you cheating bastard. Straight after the fight. He couldn't look Dennis in I am. Look at Sam Sheedy against Langford. Look at scorecards from Dave Parrish to Steve Gray's. What a fight were you watching, Steve Gray? He should be ashamed of himself. These people are pinching thousands of pounds per year, mate. Thousands of pounds. And travelling free gratis. Free gratis, mate. I'm telling you now. You don't see a poor British Boxing Board of Control referee or judge. Yeah. I get on with Howard Foster. I'll take you down to his house. It's bigger than Alan Sugar's. Lives near me, him. And that other one, Michael Alexander. He's another blind man as well. They've all got a few quid. They've all had it off with this Boxing Board of Control. What it needs is a new sanctioning body in UK. It needs funding and it needs ripping up, starting again. That's what I think anyway. I want to see change. I want to see people involved who are ex-world champions. I want to see people making decisions other than ex-journeymen like Robert Smith and Charlie Giles, 76-year-old, all got the noses in the trough.
Do you know that Lloyd Honeyghan knocked out Robert Smith?
Yeah, I know that, yeah.
He smashed him to pieces.
I know that John McDermott's dad, Stan, punched
Big Stan the man.
Punched Terry O'Connor upside down, and then Terry O'Connor were a judge in Tyson Fury versus John McDermott, and he went with Tyson Fury, and Tyson got beat that night. That
was at the Albert Hall, so it was.
Frank Maloney had an heart attack at side at ring when they were judging scorecards out. Had an heart attack.
I remember that fight. It was a Friday fight night. and it was I thought John McDermott beat Tyson that night, and it, you know, when you put so much into something like that there and you don't get it, it can only not only hurt you. You know, you lost something from that inward, and it's hard to get that back when they took it from him. The rematch, I remember there was a big controversy about the gloves in the rematch. I remember John McDermott talking about it on a different platform, and he ultimately got stopped in that fight. But you know, that's the British Boxing Board of Control. You know, that should never, you know, they should never have allowed that the bias there, that should never have been allowed. But really, you know, these judges, these referees have been doing this for so long. You know, they're in that comfortable position where they're getting their expenses, they're getting, you know, they're getting looked after. They don't really have that passion anymore, because
No,
it's
free
something,
free money.
it's just
money.
they take it for granted because it's there all the time. And I think there should be more initiatives within the board, ex-fighters getting involved, refereeing courses, judging courses, steward in charge, inspector, you know, doing inspector work. And it would help ex-fighters. You know, ex-fighters have a lot of some ex-fighters have problems with employment, addiction, you know, finding stuff to do after boxing. That would give them that wee bit of encouragement and hope for the future. But they don't really. Russell, what do British Boxing Board of Control do for ex-fighters?
They don't control. They don't control anything. They just they're just greedy. Just put the noses in the trough. They don't do anything. There's no pensions. No, there's nothing. There's no free brain scans. There's nothing, mate. There's nothing. Nothing at all. All they do is take and keep taking until somebody takes them. And the only way to get rid of them is for people to vote them off and not go to the shows and not tune in. That's the only way, because these people have had good lives out of boxing for doing what? For being fucking arseholes. That's all they are. Arseholes. Okay then, well listen. It's gone at 12. We've had over a good hour. We've had a good chat. I hope you're well. Thanks for coming on. You've been an addition to the Porky Express train. And all them people that keep trying to derail the Porky Express train, you're wasting your time. So just coming back stronger than ever. The John Fury fights, the full fights, Henry Akinwande and Steve Garber, both full fights. They'll be on members area this week. Press the button.
Congratulations on that, Russell.
Thank you very much.
That's a massive. That was a massive. The viewership of that video was absolutely massive. The production was fantastic on it. Congratulations.
Yeah, it did 25,000 in 24 hours.
That's the second clip of getting knocked out by Steve Graber. That was actually on Rocky Johnny against Carl Thompson bill, and Robin Reed. Robin was on that bill as well. And there was a fighter from Antrim in Northern Ireland who was a British lightweight champion called Mark Winters. He was on that bill as well. Congratulations on it.
Yeah, the only reason that I put it on is because he said I'm a blowjob, didn't he, John Fury, around Dennis Hobson and Peter Fury, which is not true. But he can have an opinion, kind of, but he made a mistake doing that to me, because when somebody says things like that to me, I scheme and I don't scream. But the other mistake he made was having Steve Holdsworth block me, getting the Malpaz Fury DVD when I'd already bought one of him. I actually gave that to John Fury. Give him it. Now, he made a mistake there. So thinking he could stop anybody having any footage of him fighting. Now, there's more than one way to skin a rabbit. So, and it's amazing what people will do for a few quid, but I needs to go start looking at BT production, because when you know people at BT Sport want to hand over DVDs of you fighting when they know that you don't want it handed over, well, Can't be that popular, can you? But it's done now. People can see. He should be proud of himself, professional boxer. But don't tell me you're this roadman killer or this gangland enforcer, because there's only one gangland enforcer from that family, and it wasn't John. John sold second-hand vans all his life from a traveller campsite. That's what he's done all his life. He ain't a gangland enforcer. He's never been to prison for anything to do with crime. He went to prison for taking somebody's eye out, a small man. He's not a gangland enforcer. He's not a roadman killer. And he shouldn't be offering out men over 50, then agreeing to fight one of them, and then moving goalposts when he realised that the guy can actually fight, and saying, "No, I'll come to Manchester tomorrow. If you don't, it's all off. We'll shut it down." You can't play them games with me. I don't put with them games. So, and he needs to apologise to me for calling me a blowjob, because if not, I've got one here. Where is it? Oh, it's at home. I've got a video that I will put out, and I'll tell the real John Fury story. So he needs to shut his mouth. He needs to come out on social media and apologise to Mickey Theo and me, or I'll put this out. That's what he needs to do. He needs to shut his pie hole. So that's about it. Okay, okie dokie. So thanks for coming on, Ken. You're a top man. What you got planned for the rest of the day?
Gonna go for a run, take my dog out again, get some dinner, and watch the snooker final.
Who's it final?
It's Sean Murphy and Mark Selby.
I go by Sean Murphy's house up here every day in Freiburg, like old house he grew up in. His dad were a golfer. He's from Money. He's a company man. All them lot that were partying in hotels, you know, snooker players, Ronnie O'Sullivan, all them. Do you know what he were doing in? He were going telling tales to the big fella, wasn't he? Sean Murphy. So I hope he gets me. Yeah, but I can't stand that Mark Selby. Do you know why? Because he modelled his game on Cliff Thorburn, didn't he? You know when you need something like 15 snookers, instead of just conceding frame for fans to get on with action, he goes for him, doesn't he? Try and grind you out, doesn't he?
I remember last year in the semi-final against Ronnie O'Sullivan. Ronnie was down 3 frames. He just come out and he just spanked everything in. And after the game, Selby turned around and says, Selby said after, "I don't like the way he played. It was a bit disrespectful the way he was playing." And I'm like, he was taking everything on and he was knocking them in. That's what people want to see. But yeah, I love the snooker final every year. I always watch it on bank holiday weekend.
Good man. I remember years ago, coming back from Bridlington with my mum and dad and my little brother in '82, listening to it on the radio, and Alex Higgins was going into the last session. I think it was 15 all, and we just got home for the last frame when he made a 135 total clearance against Ray Reardon, and I was 11-year-old at the time. I'll never forget that. And he burst out crying at ending Alex Higgins.
You look at the tables that they had then. You look at the size of the pockets. You look at the cues. You look at the technology, and you look how he was controlling the cue ball, and what he did was, you know, it was ahead of his time. It was ahead of his time, Alex Higgins. Ahead of his time. Absolute maverick.
He made snooker. He made snooker, mate. He put snooker on the map.
He made snooker commercial, and he never liked Barry Hearn. No. And Barry Hearn always said that he always kind of said wee things about Higgins, but he tried to sign Higgins so many times that Higgins wouldn't sign for him, and I think that's why he was always so raging, and he always said these wee remarks about Higgy, but Higgy was his own man. You know, he was.
Barry Hearn tells the story that he didn't want to sign Higgins, didn't he? He tells that story.
He tried to sign him 3 times, and he refused.
Okay then. Well, listen. If anybody wants to watch a good Alex Higgins film, it's 8 minutes. It's called Alex Higgins Genius, and it's the song in the background is that. Oblivion by M83, forgot what it's called, Susan Sanford, but it's a fantastic little 8-minute video if you want to go watch it. Alex Higgins, Born Genius, or something like that. Google that. It's a really great 8-minute little clip. Okay, well, listen. Peace out, Kent. Keep on trucking. Keep supporting boxing. We'll have you on again this week at some stage towards the end of the week. All right, my friend?
Take care, Russell. All the best.
Cheers, Kent. Bye.